Hello, dear listeners. Today, our group will try to give a version about the Azerbaijan in Soviet times. And initially, I want to talk about the 28 April occupation. The Red Army invasion of Azerbaijan, also known as the Soviet invasion of Azerbaijan, was a military campaign carried out by the 11th Army of the Soviet Russia in April 1920 to install a new Soviet government in the Azerbaijan Democratic Republic. And the invasion came across with the anti-government uprising staged by the local Azerbaijani Bolsheviks in the capital, Baku. And the invasion led to the dissolution of the Azerbaijan Democratic Republic and the establishment of the Azerbaijan Soviet Socialist Republic. And after the collapse of the Azerbaijan Democratic Republic, the government was taken over by the Military Revolutionary Committee of Azerbaijan. And in April 1920, the Baku became the capital of the Soviet Socialist Republic of Azerbaijan. And the Soviet government succeeded in extending its power over the territory of the Baku province. And as before, the development of Baku continued after the establishment of the Soviet power in Azerbaijan. Additionally, in 1921 and 25, oil production in Baku almost doubled. The many new industrial enterprises were opened. The railway connection Baku with the Sabunchu, Balakhana, Surakhana, mining areas was electrified. Oil fields were occupied with a new machinery. And these all factors played a crucial role in the ensuring the Soviet Union's victory over the fascism in the World War II. Furthermore, the Heydar Aliyev coming to the power in Azerbaijan on July 14, 1969, it became a turning point for the country, paving the way for its rapid development and transformation into one of the leading republics of the Soviet Union. The national leader Heydar Aliyev made outstanding achievements in all areas of the economy, with special attention to the preserving national and moral values. And thousands of students, Azerbaijanis, sent to the study at leading educational institutions. And in conclusion, on October 18th, in 1991, the Azerbaijan regained its independence to declare itself the political and legal successor of the Azerbaijan Democratic Republic. So that's all about me. Now I want to give floor to my friends. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Yusuf. Now I want to talk about the Cultural Revolution in 20s and 30s. During the Soviet era, the Bolshevik elite began to carry out a cultural revolution in order to form a new Soviet culture in Azerbaijan. So these are the followings. First of all, Islam was squeezed. Historical sources state that in January 1924, anti-religious commission was established to attack on the religion intensify. In 1920s and 30s, there were about 2,800 mosques in the country, but many of them they started to destroy. For example, the famous Haybat Mosque in Baku, the ancient minarets and hundreds of other sacred holy places in Muka and Mashtaba were destroyed too. Also, the monuments of other religions such as beautiful Alexander Church in Baku were destroyed. In addition, national and moral values were privatized. Religious ceremonies was banned on Muharram months. Also, the official celebration of Nowruz holiday was forbidden in 1930s. National musical instruments such as tar, kamancha, saz, and monuments of the oral folk, especially ethics, were seriously criticized. So, Bolshevik ideology used violent methods to create a militaristic attitude to cultural heritage for alienating people from their historical sources and national values. Moreover, in the content national culture, but actually as a form socialist culture were created. The Bolsheviks didn't allow women to wear head carriers, go out in the public, become educated, and work in some family traditions. At the same time, dramas of Almaz and Sevil written by Jafar Jabbarlı, and it focused on the role of women and their struggles. and it was made a film into it was made into a film and with the same title in 1929, which was shown through the Central Asia and the Caucasus, and become very effective for that period. In addition, a new Soviet education was created. Writing form changed from Arabic alphabet to the Latin alphabet. But from 1933, the Cyrillic graphics began to be used in the writing form. Diminishing literacy began in the very first months of Soviet era. For that purpose, special committees was established. Also, after that, 1939, the level of the level of public literacy reached to 73.3%. At the end of the 30s, there were 3,375 schools with 655,000 students. Furthermore, seminars for teachers were re-established in Baku, Ganja, Gaza, and a new one opened in Shaki. In 1940, 16 graduate and 91 secondary professional education with more than 33,000 students were functioning. Many universities was established in Azerbaijan, such as Azerbaijan State Pedagogical University, Azerbaijan State Medical Institute, Azerbaijan Social Economic Institute, and etc. So universities also were very beneficial for high quality of education for that period. Thank you. Now Asima will continue.
Hello everyone. Today I will continue about the 20th Turkish Cultural Revolution. About the radio theater. The radio theater, directed by Mustafa Mardanov, debuted on Azerbaijan radio in 1931. Hussein Javid's play Sheikh Saman was first broadcast on the radio in December 1931, and there was Pushkin's Boris Godunov, Jali Mehmet Gulzada's Dead, Jafar Jabbar's Aydin in 1905, Yashar, Seville, and Shakespeare's Hamlet, and Akhundov's Hajibala and Harpedius Described Union. Around the 30s, the radio reading of a newspaper was discounted in 1932, and the only program, Latest News, was broadcasted. The radio stations were literary drama, collective farm radio, and Golden Soldier, and those became operational after the institutional reforms in 1935. Then, I will talk about a little bit about the different sides of the cultural revolutions. For example, education. A decree on the separation of church and state, as well as the separation of school and church, was issued on the January 23, 1918. The zoology, ancient Greek, and other subjects associated with the religious studies were excluded from the course. And the Cultural Revolution's primary goal was to instill Marxist-Leninist ideology in the minds of Soviet people. Then, the theater. The Maiden Tower legend was widely circulated. A two-part featured film, The Legend of the Maiden Tower, was made on the basis of such a so-called subject, and ballet was composed. And the All-Russian Central Executive Committee and the Council of People's Commissars passed a resolution in October 1932 calling for the establishment of an Academy of Arts. The institution of painting, sculpture, and architecture was founded to replace the Leningrad Institute of Proletarian Fine Art. And some people, such as Isaac Brodsky, Alexander Samokhalov, Boris Loganson, were some of the most well-known painters. And here you can see the example portrait of Maxim Gorky by Isaac Brodsky. Then the information about 80s, 30s, and the beginning of 80s terms. And the economic in the 1950s and 1960s due to the discovery and exploitation of rich oil reserves in other regions of the United Soviet Union, interest in Azerbaijan oil declined significantly, and the slowdown in the development of these sectors began to negatively affect the economic growth. And until the 1970s, Baku was one of the former capital cities of the former Soviet Union in terms of urban population growth. Information about culture, the films like Nasimi, The Begorgan, and Balbet were made in these terms, and films about the Second World War made in the late 1970s, such as Our Job Teacher, Shared Bread, and morality and ethics became a major trend of Azerbaijan cinema in the 1980s. In these terms, here you can see some publishments, such as Part Another Life, Forgive Me If I Die, and etc. And a little bit information about leadership. On November 22, in 1982, Yuri Andropov elevated Haydar Aliyev from candidate to full members of the Soviet Politburo, and they elected him first deputy chairman of the Council of Ministers of the Soviet Socialist Republic, in charge of the transportation and social services. And as a result, Aliyev ascended to the high rank ever achieved by Azerbaijan in the Soviet Union. Then Gorbachev's perestroika. I will talk about only the result of it. It was the failure. The failure of Gorbachev's perestroika has been the fall of the Soviet Union, and Gorbachev announced that the Soviet Socialist Republic would no longer interfere in the domestic affairs of those countries. Thank you for everything. My group mate will continue.
Okay. After the establishment of Azerbaijan Soviet Socialist Republic, Russia paid more attention to the Russification of Azerbaijanis. The main purpose of Soviet government was the isolation of Azerbaijan Turks from the South Caucasus. Because of the Russification policy, Soviet government didn't allow Azerbaijan national cadres to hold important positions in the government. That was not surprising that the first secretaries of Bolshevik Communist Party were of non-Azerbaijan origin. Also, because of the provocations by Sargs, Lominadze, Yegorov, Nerman Nermanov was dismissed from his leadership. In 1920, the statement of Lominadze about Nerman Nermanov was that we shouldn't trust any Muslim. He can be a good communist, but he remains to be a Muslim. Also in 1931, 45% of officials in the Baku Soviet were Russians, 17% were Armenians, and only 16% were Azerbaijanis. In 1921, Russian Communist Party adopted a decision to join Nagorno-Karabakh to Armenia, but Nerman Nermanov rejected it. The decision about Nagorno-Karabakh was formulated under the title Granting Nagorno-Karabakh with its capital of Shah and went into formal effect in 1923. Also in 1931, there was only one university among 12 in Azerbaijan in which the education was taught in Turkish and the rest in Russia. That was another method for the Russification policy. The results of Russification policy was not good for the Azerbaijan national identity and also caused the weakness of Azerbaijan Turks against the other nationalities in the Soviet. Thank you for listening. My group mate will give more information about the period of Stalin and his repressions.
Hello everyone again. Repression and terror Stalin in control. During the second half of the 1920s, Joseph Stalin set the stage for gaining absolute power by employment, police repression against opposition elements within the Communist Party. Submersion of Kurdistan had previously been used only against opponents of Bolshevik, not against party members themselves. Stalin then turned against Nikolai Karen, who was denounced as a right opposition. For opposing his policy of forced collectivization and rapid industrialization at the expense of peasantry. Stalin had eliminated all likely potential opposition to his leadership by late 1934 and was the unchallenged leader of both party and state. Nevertheless, he proceeded to purge the party rank and file and to terrorism the entire country with widespread arrests. During the ancient Greek terrors, which includes the notorious trials of Stalin's former Bolshevik opponent in 1936, 1938, and research its peak in 1937 and 1938. Millions of innocent Soviet citizens were sent off to labor camps or killed in prison. By the time the terror subsided in 1939, Stalin had managed to bring both the party and the public to a state of complete submission to his rule. Soviet sides was the atomization and the people so fearful of reprisal that mass arrests were no longer necessary. Stalin ruled as absolute dictator of the Soviet Union's soul, World War II, and until his death in March 1956. Thank you for listening. My group meet will be continued.
Thank you, Edwin, and hello, everyone. Now I am going to talk about effects of World War II on Azerbaijan society and importance of Azerbaijan to USSR during World War II. World War II lasted from 1939 to 1945, and Azerbaijan joined as a part of USSR to the war in 1941. After German declaration of war against USSR. For the first time, 416th Rifle Division created in 1941 and as a standard Red Army Division, but in March of 1942, second formation began. But this time as a Azerbaijan National Division, and formation end in July of 1942. When we talk about Azerbaijan participation in World War II, we also should mention Azerbaijan Legion, which fought for German side. This legion mainly made up Azerbaijan prisoners, and they fought against Bolsheviks to restore Azerbaijan independence. Importance of Azerbaijan to USSR during World War II was not just about human force who fought on front line, but also was about oil of Azerbaijan. During the war, Azerbaijan supplied 90% of total demand of USSR, oil demand of USSR. Especially women, elder people, and disabled people who were not able to fight on front line worked in oil industry. Approximately 600,000 people, Azerbaijani people, fought on front line, and unfortunately, half of them couldn't come back their home. And 600,000 was 90% of Azerbaijan whole population. And generally, World War II has had extremely bad effects on Azerbaijan society. Because of diminishing labor force, Azerbaijan economy went down, and most importantly, Azerbaijan lost 300,000 brave soldiers during the war. And that's all for my part, and thank you for listening. Goodbye.